almost sufficient participant. 60
Okay,
plus here and another 100 plus in the YouTube. And later they'll be joining us.
you're recording this one, right?
Yes, yes, we are
Okay.
recording. Yeah. Just okay, dear participants, welcome to this international webinar on research methodology, a qualitative perspective. It's our great pleasure and honor to invite you all to this wonderful occasion. And I'm Dr. Rajasegaran, organizer of this particular webinar. And VIT University Chennai campus, Division of English, Social Sciences and Languages, feel very happy to welcome all to this particular webinar. And we'll start the webinar before we start, both those who are in the Zoom room, as well as in those who are watching in YouTube live. Kindly make a note of certain instructions before we start the session. When the session starts, please kindly disable all your audio as well as video for the better connectivity. And at the end of the session, we'll open the floor for the question answer session. You can post the question in the chat box. And because we'll not be able to allow you to do the open mic because it will create a lot of requests. So you can post it in the chat box that will be redirected to the speaker and he will address you. And those who are watching on live, please, you can post a question in the chat box. And I'll be taking the question from there, then I'll be reading to the speaker also. He will be also addressing that thing. As of now, what we have planned, this session will go, he will be talking on this topic for almost 1 hour. After that, we'll followed by the question answer session, it will be there. And it's my great pleasure. We got 1,493 registration. I got registration from 11 foreign countries, including 11 foreign countries. Most of them are Indians. And we got 11 foreign countries registration also. They are attending via YouTube live. And some of them are in the Zoom room also. And I welcome you all once again to this particular webinar. And we'll start. Let me give a brief intro about today's speaker. Then after that, I'll hand over the session to the speaker and he will carry on. Just let me take a minute to take his intro. Okay. So Dr. Kalaisselvan Arumugam is currently attached with the National Institute of Education Management and Leadership in Malaysia. He obtained his doctorate from University of Utara, Malaysia. His research areas are teaching and learning, holistic assessment, and qualitative research. He has won many best teaching awards, and also he has published many research papers regarding teaching and learning. Internationally, he has presented many research papers which open a new perspective in education studies. He is an asset to the National Institute of Education Management and Leadership. And above all, he's a wonderful human being because he's a very good friend of mine. We came in contact with only through some online interaction. After that, we became very close, and he's such a wonderful human being. And actually, I wanted to host him for a long back, but due to certain constraint, we were unable to host him. And today, I'm very, very happy to have Dr. Kalai here to address the participant. And I'm also love to listen to you. And after the talk, then we'll have a detailed discussion, deliberation. So I request all the participants, please kindly mute your audio as well as video and listen to this entire talk. And at the end, we'll open the floor for the session. And one more important thing, those who are attending this live session, you'll be getting an e-certificate, but we'll post the Google link, Google feedback link at the end of the thing. That link will be open only for 15 minutes. Let me repeat. At the end of the session, we'll post the feedback form. You have to fill the feedback form within 15 minutes because after that, we'll close the form. So please, after the session, wait for some time. We will post the feedback form. You can fill in, then you can leave. And you will be able to download the certificate, which I have sent in the mail also, through our website. Those details also will be given there. I'll give one blog address. You can go to that blog after download your certificate also after a week. Please kindly make a note that you will be able to download your certificate only after a week because we will take time to process as the participants are very huge. So kindly make a note to don't write email within 2 days and 3 days that you want certificate. Definitely within a week, you can check after 7 days, all your certificate, those who are giving feedback, kindly make a note, those who are giving feedback only will be able to get a certificate based on the data you provide in the feedback form. If there are any wrong data, wrong email ID, we are not responsible for the certificate. Please kindly make sure at the end, you are filling the feedback form with the proper email address, proper name, institution, and everything, so that we'll be able to dispatch your certificate. You'll be able to download it from our website. I'll be giving that link at the end. Okay, with this, let me hand over the session to Dr. Kalaisselvan Arumugam. to start his session. Kalai, over to you, Kalai.
Okay, thank you, Professor Dr. Rajasekaran. Okay, and welcome to International Webinar on Research Methodology, Qualitative Perspective. Okay, so first of all, I would like to convey my thanks to Professor Dr. Rajasekaran to organize such a wonderful webinar. And I hope that it will benefit all of the audience here. And end of the sessions, maybe you can, I think most of you will gain some good knowledge from this webinar. That is our aim and purpose today. Okay, here, before I start briefly about the qualitative, the research methodology, okay, first of all, what I would like to say is we are here not to argue whether it is quantitative or qualitative. So that is not our aim. So our aim is actually, the purpose is for all of us to understand what is the real meaning of qualitative research and why in some aspects we need to consider qualitative research as a research methodology. Okay, so okay, let me to give you a brief introductions. Okay, what are the things that I'm going to cover in my talk today is the introduction. Okay, basically I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to give some input regarding what is the research methodology on qualitative perspective. Okay, qualitative research purpose, approaches. What are the approaches that you can use in qualitative research? Participants, who will be your participants in your studies? Okay, data collection process, validity and reliability. So I think most of us, okay, our background is we have our research background, and most of us, I think the participants are the academicians that have a very good experience in research. They have been conducted many research, but when come to qualitative research, so we have the perspective, we have our own justification why we need to choose qualitative research. Okay, so when you look at here, mean, how does qualitative research differ from quantitative? Okay, so we are just going to give a brief introductions on why sometimes we need qualitative research. Okay, so it is a systematic subjective approach used to describe life experience and give them meaning. Okay, meaning to say that when you come to into qualitative perspective, okay, when you come to qualitative perspective, mean we are going to become a very subjective. We are not structured to anything. Okay, it is a very subjective method that we are going to explore. Okay, it yeah, like a step by step. Okay, for the first step, second step, third step, we are moving step by step to get some knowledge, to gain some knowledge. So that is basically why we choose qualitative research. Okay, useful in understanding human experiences such as pain, caring, powerlessness, and comfort. So we want to know their experiences. Okay, for instance, I can say my studies is most of the things is regarding the schools, management, teachers, teaching and learning. Okay, so we can know the experiences about the teachers, the educators, the principal, the school administrations. Okay, so they can what we can say, they can give their own experience, a life experience. Okay, focus on understanding the whole concept. So it is differ from quantitative, because quantitative sometimes we already set the limitation for our study, but in qualitative we don't set any limitation. That means we try to understand to what extent is our study is about. Okay, let's say we want to know about the teaching and learning process, so we will come into the ground, we will come into the natural setting. Okay, we will come to the natural setting to understand what is the real scenario, what is going on at that moment. Okay, consistent with holistic philosophy. Okay, so that is why we can say like it is a very consistent with a holistic philosophy, because as I said just now, the we are not structured. Okay, there is no such structured things in qualitative, because we are here when our aim is to explore something, when our aim is to gain a deep understanding. So that is the main keyword that I would like to say in qualitative research: deep understanding. Because when you want to look at the holistic philosophy, so you must understand it very deeply, then only we can do the qualitative research. So that is why So first of all, you must ask yourself, okay, my study is about what? Okay, what I'm going to do actually. Okay, then only you can choose whether it is qualitative or quantitative. Don't ever choose the method first. Okay, look at the objective, what you are going to do. End of the day, what you are going to get from your research. So from that only we can choose the correct methodology. Sometimes what will happen is we like to fix our methodology, because we have like for example, we have the quantitative background. Oh, I'm going to do these things. Okay, so I'm going to choose a survey. Okay, I'm going to do this research. I try to solve this problem. Okay, I'm going to do experimental design. Yes, of course, when we have the background will bring us to choose the methodology, which is wrong. So normally what we have to do, we have to think deeply what we are going to do, what we are going to explore. Are we going to explore in depth? Are we going to look at the whole concept of everything? Are we going to look into the, life experiences? So which cannot be done in quantitative. So in that case only we have to choose qualitative research. Okay, so when we look at the, okay, okay, so we look at what are the philosophy for the qualitative studies. Okay, so the goal of qualitative research is not hypothesis testing. So we must understand that there is no hypothesis in qualitative research. Okay, like sometimes we know that in quantitative we have the hypothesis and we want to test the hypothesis, but in qualitative research we are not going to test the hypothesis. Okay, we are not going to test the hypothesis. So this is the framework. So this is the framework for the qualitative studies. Okay, and then the goal of qualitative research, okay, as I said just now, we are not testing the hypothesis. So there is no such thing as hypothesis in qualitative research. That is the first concept that I explained just now. It is a very holistic concept. So when it comes a very holistic, we are not going to test anything. So meaning to say that we are not into testing the theory also. Okay, frameworks are used in different sense in qualitative research. Okay, we have the research framework. Of course, when we want to do a research mean, we must have the framework because the framework will guide us. So as I said, in qualitative, we are not going to structure the research. Okay, the framework is only for the flow, how we are going to bring the research continuously. So that is the research framework in qualitative. Okay, not to say like in quantitative, sometimes we have the structured framework, but here we are not into the structured framework. So the framework is just as a guidance for us. Okay, so each type of qualitative research is guided by a particular philosophical stance. So we must have the stance actually there. Okay, so when we want to do a qualitative research, okay, let's say our aim, for example, we want to understand how the school principals are administrating the school, how the school leaders are conducting how they are bringing the new system, the leadership system. So when we want to understand their leadership system, because our aim is to understand, so we have the philosophical stance that we are going to understand. We are going to get some information from the example of a good leadership. So let's say there is a very bad administrations before, and when come to this new principal, he can bring up the school very well. So we want to study what are the things that he did to the school, which can bring up the school. So we have the philosophy that we want to understand. So when we have the understanding that we want to explore more about the style of his leadership. Okay, so then we have the stance that we are going to explore in depth. Okay, so for that only we have the framework. So what we are going to do at the first stage, and then what are the research methodology, what, like for example, are we going to do case study, or are we going to do some action research or anything? Then only we try to come out with the framework. So remember here, the framework is only helping us to make sure the research flow is smooth. Okay, it is not to structure that we must follow exactly what we have planned. And please make sure when you choose qualitative research, we must have the philosophical stance. Okay, so when you look at the qualitative research how it looks actually. So the data is very subjective. We know that the data is because qualitative research, we don't have numbers. Okay, we have all the text, sentences. So we must understand the text, the sentences, okay, from the observation. Sometimes we do the video recording. Okay, we will record the interview transcribe. So we must understand it is a very subjective. So it is a very subjective that our aim is, we as a researcher, we want to explore. We want to explore ourselves. Okay, we are not waiting for someone to give the information for us. Okay, we are not like doing some survey. We try to get a feedback from them. No. So we have a very subjective. It is a very general. So the general thing is we must make sure it is systematic. Okay, so describes life experiences and give them meaning. Okay, so actually qualitative research really describe, like as I said just now, we want to understand the leadership of the new leader. Okay, so we must know about his experiences, what he did when he come to the school, and then what are the leadership styles that he make a changes, so which give meaning, the meaning of his leadership skills. Okay, so data in qualitative research are typically words versus number in quantitative research. As I said, data in qualitative research, we have only the text. Okay, all kind of text, words. Okay, we have to interpret, we have to find out the real meaning from the subjective. Okay, all the words, the text, we have to find out what that word meaning. What is the real meaning of this word? Why this person say these things? So every single words will bring you the meaning. So it gives you the opportunity to understand holistically. Okay, it gives you the what we can say, opportunity for you. When you look at the words, when, okay, let's say for example, I'm giving like an example, like the principal, the leadership, he's sharing his experiences. So each of the word that he mentioned will really give a good meaning for you, so that you have to find out from what are the things that he mentioned. So you have to find out in depth. So focus on whole and holistic. In qualitative research, we not even like a where the single one word also can give a very deep meaning. So that's why we must be very concentrate when we are dealing with the data. So when you're dealing with the data, I mean, we must look at the data very carefully. Okay, and then data incorporate perceptions and belief of researcher and participants. Okay, so it is a two-way of interactions. It involving us. Okay, it involving us, like we as a researcher, we also involve directly. So sometimes it gives the perceptions on the data. Okay, so now we look at the qualitative research purposes. Okay, so as I said just now, okay, why we need to choose qualitative research? So it is very early stage. It is in the early stage of your research. Okay, when you want to conduct a research, you have the objective. You know what you are going to do. So when you know that what you are going to do mean, you ask yourself a question like, am I going to describe about my studies? Am I going to identify? Am I going to understand? Am I going to develop? Am I going to explain? Or am I going to generate? So these are the questions that we must rise up before we start our research. Okay, these are the questions that we must ask ourselves actually. Why? Because this is the beginning step for us to choose whether qualitative or quantitative. So if you have all these questions, if you have all these words in your mind, meaning to say that your research is into qualitative. Am I going to describe about the leadership skills? Am I going to identify what that principal did? Am I going to understand what kind of leadership he's using? Am I going to understand how he developed the school? So am I going to get some explanation? Am I going to generate something? So you must ask this kind of question. Please ask yourself before you start your research. So this is the main idea. When you have this kind of things in your mind, so your research is more on qualitative. Okay, so before you start your research, please look at all these things. Okay, qualitative research methods. Okay, so we look at the qualitative research method, multiple realities. Okay, so we have a multiple realities. We are not depending on one realities also. So there are so many things. That is what we call qualitative research is very emergent. Very emergent. So maybe when we want to start the research, we will start with a small kind of objective. Okay, we have our small objective, but when we started to collect the data, our objective might change. Because why? We have the possibilities are there. Okay, the possibilities are there for you to explore more and more. That's why I say just now, we are not structuring ourselves. When we structure ourselves, we only have the limitation. We have a limited data. But here, when we want to explore in a very holistic, the whole things we want to explore, so it will be like a very multiple. Natural setting for data collection. Okay, what is meaning of natural setting of data collection mean? Okay, let's say you want to do about nurse, doctors, so your natural setting, you must go to the hospital. Or you want to do about the school teachers. So of course, your natural setting will be school. You want to do a research regarding students. So your natural settings will be in the school as well. Or you want to study about the life, okay, lifestyle of the someone who's staying in prison, for example. Okay, so you must go to the prison to study about their lifestyle. Okay, so the natural setting where you want to do the research, so we must go into the ground to make sure that we feel we can get the gist, we can get the good content for our research. Okay, researchers and participants interact. Of course, in qualitative research, we cannot avoid this one. We as a researcher, we must interact with the participants. Okay, so like in quantitative we used to use the word samplings, but in qualitative we call them as participants. Those who take part in our research, in our studies, we call them as participants. And for sure we must communicate, we must interact with them, because they are the main person, main source of where we can get the data. Okay, results are rich descriptions. That's why I say just now, when you want to do the transcribe, or when you want to do the video recording, so when you want to write what is going on in the video recording, so each of the single word give very rich meaning. So that's why when we want to do a qualitative research so we cannot miss a single word said by the participants, because sometimes when we miss one or two words, it can give the different interpretations. So all the words are data for us. So all the words that say the interaction between us and the participants is the data for us. So it is a very rich descriptions. Okay, approaches. Okay, what are the approaches that we can choose? Because this one also we have to choose. Okay, what kind of approaches that you want to use? Okay, there are main 5 types of approaches: phenomenological, grounded theory, ethnography, case study, action research. Okay, most of the academicians or the researcher, they will ask, when I need to choose phenomenological studies, when I need to use grounded theory, when is the right time for me to choose the ethnography studies, case studies, and action research? Okay, as I said, you must go back to the aim. What is our aim? What we want to find out, what we want to get from our research actually. Okay, so approaches. Okay, so approaches to qualitative research, okay, based on philosophical orientation and intended outcome. So as I said, what we are going to find out actually, what we want to study. So it comes from that. From there only we can choose whether it is a grounded theory, phenomenological, okay? So the type of qualitative approaches taken is often dependent on the research question or questions and the purpose. So as I said, it is from our objective. So when we have our clear picture on what we are going to do, so that from that we know that, okay, we have to choose the correct approaches. Approaches is very important. So once we select the approaches, the way of we are going to ask the question, the way of we are going to collect the data, is everything depends on the approaches. So we must make sure that we choose the correct approaches. Okay, we must choose the correct approach so that our intent, okay, what we really want to do, so we can meet the objective actually. Okay, so we start with the first one, phenomenology. Okay, I'm just going to give a very short, brief meaning for every approaches that I said just now. Okay, phenomenology study provide a rich description of the lived experience. Okay, when you want to find out about a person like a prime minister, you want to investigate about a prime minister, you want to know about their lifestyle, or you want to study about the doctors, okay, the nurses, and like you want to study about someone's experience, so you can choose phenomenology. So because why? Phenomenology help you to understand about the person or a group of person. Okay, so next one, grounded theory. Okay, grounded theory is a symbolic interaction theory. Okay, meaning is attached to things or action which from our reality. Okay, so this is more on reality. Grounded theory mean, as I said, so as a qualitative researcher, we are into the ground. So that is our natural setting. For example, we want to study about a teacher, we must go to the school. When we want to study about the doctors, we must go to the hospital. When we want to study about the leaders, so we must go into their ground. That is the reality of the study. So grounded theory mean, okay, grounded theory mean you are into that particular field. You must go to the field. Okay, like I like to read about the, like for example, curriculum development. Okay, normally when they want to develop a curriculum, like this one is like in a very rural area, because the curriculum that the government develop or the policy maker develop is not really suitable. So the researcher want to explore what is the real suitable curriculum for the rural area schools. So they must go to the particular school. They must look at the students. They must look at the natural settings. Okay, what is their their needs actually, and from that they will develop. They will develop. They will do the research so that they can develop a curriculum that will best fit for them. Okay, normally what will happen when you choose the grounded theory mean, okay, so when you choose the grounded theory mean, often result in theory development. So we will develop a theory, okay? We are not going to confirm the theory. Here we don't have to say, okay, I say this theory is very useful for me. This theory is correct. No, no such thing like that. When you want to use the grounded theory, so you can come up with your own theory development process, okay? Like what we can say, the rural area schools, okay, they really need this kind of curriculum. So what kind of curriculum? Okay, you want to do some changes, so you can come out with a theory of change, okay, theory of a policy development. Okay, so grounded theory will help you to develop the theory. Okay, so that's why I say you must choose the correct approach. Because why? The once you choose the correct approach, then the result will be very good, and it will be like a very helpful for the future research. So that is our aim actually, to let you know, to guide you, to give you some information, so on how you can choose the right approach. Okay, ethnography. Ethnography study is based on anthropology, okay, focus on understanding the culture. Okay, this is more on like anthropology. You want to study about the culture, because in anthropology, there are so many things that you can be done by qualitative approaches. Like you want to understand about the culture, the living style. Okay, so when you want to explore, like for as I said just now, when you want to study about the life in prison, so how they are going to spend their life in prison. Okay, let's say you just choose one person is a like you can do the qualitative research by choosing only one participants. You don't need to choose. I will talk later about the participants concepts. Okay, so you want to understand about the culture, or you want to understand about the doctor's culture, how they treat the patient, what are the process and the procedures of doing the treatment, or you want to study about the school. So I have to give a few different backgrounds, because I know the participants in this webinar will be like in a different background, so that I'm trying to give some examples that will fit for everyone. Okay, like schools, you want to study about the leadership skills. Okay, so you want to study about their culture, what they are doing in that school, what that principal done, so that the school change I mean tremendously, so that you must choose the ethnography studies. Okay, so but make sure the time frame. Okay, the time frame. Okay, because they are like when you choose phenomenological, you have the different time frame. Okay, ethnography, we have the different time frame to do the research, because the process of doing ethnography, because you want to understand the culture, you must go to the natural settings. Okay, like you want to understand about the native people. Okay, you want to understand about the native people. So what you can do, you just go and live with them. You just go and live with them, maybe for 6 months, 3 months, so that you can understand their culture better. Not like reading the literature, you try to get some information from the literature, which is, we can get the information, but we cannot experience it. So why? That is the reason why we can choose the ethnography studies. Okay, so now we move on to case study. Okay, case study is one of the approach that most of the researchers like to use. Okay, I'm not going to say that this is a very famous or anything, but most of the researchers, they like to use this case study in qualitative. Why? Enables a complex phenomenon to be explored through the identification of different factors interacting with each other. The case observed in a real situation. So we have a case. Case study means we have a case and we want to study about that case. We want to get more information. Okay, like for example, what I can say, there is a change in education system. Okay, there is a change in education system. So you want to study about the case, about the changes. Okay, so like previously we are talking about like more on assessment concept. Okay, like assessment concept mean we are more on traditional assessment method like previously those days, but now the trend is changing. Okay, it is more on holistic school-based assessment, classroom-based assessment, where the things turn to be like very formative. So you want to study about the case when you want to introduce the formative assessment, how these teachers are conducting. So you want to study in a different angle. Few teachers, you choose few teachers and you want to see how these teachers are conducting this assessment method in classroom. okay, or you have a few cases, okay, like you want to do a comparison, like in prison, you have like a different case, different crimes, you know. So from that, you want to study about why, what are the background of this person, they intend to do like this such kind of crime. So you can do the case study. Okay, case study also, if I want to tell in a very deep mean, we have two types of case study, like single case study and multiple case study. Okay, so when single case study mean, you are going to see in one perspective only, one single case. You want to explore very deeply about that case. Like multiple case studies mean you have a few cases, but all the cases must be in same area. Not to say that it is come from different area, different background, no. For example, multiple case studies, you want to study about the crime. Okay, you want to study about the crime, and there are different type of crime, different types of crime. Okay, you want to study about the leadership, for example, leadership in school, school management. So you can take a few principles, okay, that few principle that really they produce a very good achievement for that school. So it will be a few cases for you. Okay, the principle number one, his leadership style. You want to look at his leadership style. Principle number two, what are the leadership styles? So you have a few cases, but the area must be same. Okay, the research area must be same. Okay, next is action research. Okay, this is a final approach that we can use when we are doing a qualitative research. Okay, reflective process of progressive problem solving. Okay, please look at this word. It is a problem solving. Okay, okay, problem solving. So please keep this word in your mind when you want to do an action research. Okay, you must have a problem that you are going to solve. Okay, you are going to solve. Okay, lead by individual working with others in teams or as a part of community. Okay, and another word in action research is to improve. Our purpose is we want to improve, solve the problems. Like, okay, in a school, okay, for example, in school, teaching methodology, okay, the old traditional teaching methodology, you feel like orthodox teaching methodology, it didn't give a good improvement for the students. Okay, it doesn't give any improvement for the students. So what you can do is you try to come out with a program, educational program. Okay, you can come out with models. Okay, models which you try to introduce it, or you have an intervention program. Okay, most of the action research, they will come out with the intervention program. Why they have the intervention program is they want to look about the data pre and post. Action research, we have the pre and post. What are the things before you come out with the model, before you come out with the intervention program? And what are the changes that you can see after you introduce the model or the intervention program? So action research is basically, okay, you have a problem, you want to find out, okay, you have some program or you have some intervention program, you try to solve the problem by using the intervention program. Okay, so that are the approaches, okay, that are the approaches that we can use in qualitative research. Okay, so these are the 5 approaches that I gave a very short brief explanation about each of the approaches: phenomenological, grounded theory, ethnography, case study, action research. So in our research, we have to identify which one is best fit for our research. Okay, so in that case, you have to look at your objective, look at the purpose of your research. Okay. Now we look at the qualitative research process. So how you can do the research process here: select topic and problem. Of course, as an academician, as a researcher, we know that we must have a problem. Then only we can come out with the research. So when we want to conduct the research, we have a problem, we have a topic. Okay, and then justify the significance of the study, why I want to do this study, and to what extent my studies will help others or to solve the problem. So you have to design the study, okay, identify and gain access to subjects, okay, and then select study subjects and data, interpret result. Okay, this is more over the same process as we are doing before this also. So when you want to do the research mean, we must have the topic, the idea, the problem statement. So from that, we try to find out some literature, and from that particular things only we can find out the methodology. So make sure we must be very careful when we know our topic, when we know our problem, but we must understand in what method that the problem can be solved. Okay, in what method that the problem can be solved, so that we can know, okay, we can choose the right research methodology. Okay, this is just to check your understanding here. Okay, so which of the following is true about qualitative research? So you can test yourself. I give you 1 minute. Okay, I give you 1 minute. You can test yourself. You have the categories are established for analysis purposes. Data are usually collected in a laboratory setting. Focus is on studying the whole institution, and abstractions are suppressed. Okay, so okay, 1 minute. You can check your understanding here. Okay, so now we look at the answer. The answer is C. Okay, C, focus on studying the whole. As I said just now, it is a holistic. So you must keep in your mind that qualitative research is a holistic whole process. Okay, so these are the justification that I can give to you. So why it is a whole process? Why it is a whole process? So research focus on understanding the whole. Generally, the plan for analyze occurs after the data collected. Okay, more often than not, okay, data are collected in natural settings. That's why we cannot go to other place. Like when you want to see the real scenario in school, you must go to the school. When you want to see the real scenario in hospitals, you must go to the hospitals. Okay, that is our natural settings. So the researcher often uses institutions while collecting data and must be able to abstract when analyzing it. So our focus is to understand. So qualitative research focuses on understanding the whole, which is consistent with the holistic philosophy. So we must be very consistent. Not to say that we want to find out the whole mean we must keep changing, okay, keep on moving to some other tracks. No, we must be very consistent. Then only your data will be very rich. Okay, so now we move on to which methods are unique to qualitative research. Okay, so selection of subjects. So as I said just now, why there is a need for qualitative? It is a selection of subjects. What you want to research actually? Okay, researcher participant relationship. Okay, so we must have a very good relationship with our participants. Okay, data collection methods, data management, data analysis, and interpretation. Okay, we will look at it now. Okay, how are subjects selected? Subject here mean refer to the participants. So subjects are referred to as participants. As I said, there is no such things like a sampling. In qualitative research, we cannot use the terms of sampling. So we call it as a participants. Okay, may volunteer be involved in study. Okay, may be selected by researcher because of their particular knowledge, experience, or okay, so how we can choose our participants? Okay, maybe it can be a volunteer, depends on your objective, depends on your purposes of the study, and particularly we choose the participants. Okay, maybe you want to choose about the particular teachers, you must go and see that particular teacher. Then only you can get the data from them. Okay, types of participants. What are the types of participants that we can look into is purposive sampling, okay, quota sampling, and snowball sampling. Okay, I'll explain these three kind of types of participants. Okay, purposive sampling. Very short, briefly, what I can say is purposive sampling means you have the idea who will be your participant. Okay, let's say you want to study about the good leadership skills. Good leadership skills. So of course, your participant must be a principal or administrator that have a very good skills, and you give the justification. Okay, what are the good skills? For example, the principal or the leader, the school leader is a very good, okay, come out with a lot of changes for the schools academically. So that is the what we can say indicator for you to choose the participants. Okay, so may seek out individuals different in some way from other participants to get diverse perspective. Okay, so what we can say, we have our intention, we want what we want to study. Okay, like for example, when you want to study about, okay, when you want to study about the role model, or you want to study about the one prime minister, so your participant is definitely that prime minister. Okay, quota sampling. Okay, what is a quota sampling mean? Okay, a sampling methodology wherein data is collected from a homogeneous group. Okay, so you have a group of people. Okay, you have a group of people. Okay, and of course, in qualitative, we cannot choose many participants because of the time limitation, and then we have a limitation of the studies. So from that big homogeneous group, you can choose particular of them, representing them. Like I can show you here. So in this group of people, so you just choose. Okay, this is representing all three colors, representing the black colors, red colors. So you choose each of them to represent their group. Okay, and then snowball sampling. Okay, snowball sampling is also one of the very famous participant, how we can choose the participant in qualitative research. Okay, what is meaning of snowball sampling? Okay, researcher participants recruit other participants for a test. Okay, so like for example, you don't know who will be your participants. You want to find out who will be the right person for you to collect the data. Okay, so you choose from here. You can see the diagram here. You try to ask a question from him, and he will say, oh, you can find out the data from him or she. So you go to him and you go to she, and he will say, that you can get a copy of
Just a minute. See, I think a participant named Vijay Lakshmi, please kindly mute your headphone, mute your microphone. Participant named Vijay Lakshmi, please mute your microphone. Vijay ma'am, Vijay Lakshmi, please kindly mute. Your voice is disturbing us. Hello. Vijay Lakshmi, please mute yourself. Vishwa, are you there? Vishwa, please kindly mute Vijay Lakshmi. Vishwa? It's okay. Okay, Kalai, go ahead.
This is how you can choose the snowball sampling. Okay, from one person, you can get the 2% already. From this 2%, you can identify the 3%. So from these 3%, you can find out more until you meet who is the right person for you to give the data. Of course, this process is a very long process. Okay, but of course, when we want to understand deeply, so we must go through all these kind of things. So that's why I will always say that when you want rich data, take your time. Take your time, try to find out. Okay, so snowball sampling is like a, most of the qualitative researchers, they like to use this one because why? They want to get the right information from the right person. They don't want to like what we can say, the dilution of information. But in another way is when you want to save your time, you can use purposive sampling. But for the purposive sampling also, you must know the person very well. You must know that that person is particularly in that field, so that it will really help you. Okay, so this is the technique of choosing our participant in qualitative research. Okay, so how do sample size differ from quantitative studies? As I said just now, okay, so like what we can say, of course, for the quantitative studies, we choose a lot of participants because we want to reach our data. But in qualitative, okay, what are the aspects that you must consider when you want to choose your participant? Based on needs related to study purpose. Okay, what is your need actually? Are you going to look at a group of people? Are you going to get information from few people? Okay, are you going to get look into only one person? So look at the purpose of your study. Number of subject is usually smaller. Okay, I advise you for qualitative research, limit below than 10. Below than 10. Because when you want to do the interview, it will take a long time. When you want to do the observation, you must go for few times of observation. So please don't choose many participants. Okay, so case studies with only one subject may be used. As I said, one person is enough for you to the study. Like you want to see a good quality management or good quality of leadership, so you just choose one principal and you study about himself. Okay, 6 to 10 subject is not unusual. So normally we will choose below than 10. So that's why I say 1 until 10. You keep in your mind that 1 until 10 is a good number for qualitative studies. Okay, what are the characteristics of researcher participant relationship? Okay, as I said, we must have a good relationship between our participant because we are dealing with human. Okay, we are dealing with human. Make sure when you want to go for data collection, okay, you have a very good terms with your participant. Otherwise, they will refuse to give the information to you. Okay, so you must have a good relationship, and then you can collect the data, not to say that you must know the person very well. You can go to someone that you don't know at all, but you introduce yourself. You introduce yourself, and then you say who are you, what you want to do, what is your aim actually, and then only you try to collect the data. So the researcher must have the support and confidence of participants to complete the study, because we are not going to deal with them once. We are going to meet them many times. Okay, let's say we interview them for the first time and we cannot get the proper data. So we have to interview them second time. So the rapport must be very good. We must have a good rapport. Then only they will have the willingness to share with us. Okay, maintaining relationship is of utmost importance. Okay, we must have a very good relationship with them. Then only the data that they are giving is genuinely from them. Okay, it is a very genuine data that we can get. Okay, but remember, we cannot influence them. We cannot influence them. So that's why I say, if you want to go and choose the person that you know, you tell to them that I'm coming here for a research purpose. Let's say you want to get some information from someone that you really don't know. Fine, you just explain what you are doing, what is our objective. Okay, so now we look at data collection. In qualitative research, okay, we have three type of data collection, okay, which is interview. The mainly people will use this in qualitative research. Okay, interview. And interview also, you have like a face-to-face interview. Okay, we select our participant. We know already who are the participants. So we go sit with them face to face. We set up the questions, or then we interact with them. So while we interact with them, we try to do the recording, but it must they must allow us. Okay, they must allow us. Then only you can get the permission from them to audio, or you want to do a recording, so that you can do the data transcript later. Okay, focus group. Let's say you have a group of people that you're expecting to give some same information. So make them into group. And then you do the group discussion. So from the group discussion, you try to get the data. And online interview, since this MCO, so this it's quite famous also, online interview. So you can set your time. Like the advantages of online interview mean, let's say your participants is very far away from you. and maybe in overseas, and then you got a contact that these participants will give a very rich data for you. So now you can do online interview also. Okay, and then we can do observation. Okay, observation like a participant and non-participant. Participant mean observation, you will become the like one of the person who involved in that program. For example, you want to observe a teacher who is conducting a lesson. So you go to the class, you take part as a student. Okay, you yourself make yourself as a student, and you see how the teacher is teaching. Okay, and non-participant, okay, like non-participant mean you go into the field, you just observe. You are not involving with what the participants are doing. Okay, you just observe, take note, okay, do the field note, but you are not involving with them. Okay, document analysis. Okay, document analysis can be a standard written
Thank you, sir.
document. Okay, like for example, like books, okay, newspaper cuttings, okay. And then document analysis also can be from the participant. Like for example, as I said, the participant, maybe they did some program, you want to get the paperwork from them. From that paperwork, you analyze, okay, what are the good quality programs, so what kind of, how he run the programs. Okay, so it is all, these are the main three types of data collection process that we can use in qualitative research. Okay, and not to say interview mean we just go and interview once. It can be many times until the data saturation process. Okay, until it reach what we want. So maybe we can go 2 times, 3 times. For the beginning, you just go and see or just get some information. Okay, observation also can be like that. Okay, observation also can be like that. Like once you go mean, of course, for the first time of observation, you cannot get the input. So you must go for the second time so that you see. Okay, when we do the observation few times, the more you do the observation, the data will be like very real, because there is no like no more acting. So genuinely they will do. Okay, genuinely they will do. Okay, so this is about the data collection in qualitative research. Okay, now we look at observation. Okay, when you want to do observation, okay, what you're supposed to do? A process of understanding what is going on here. So when you go to the hospital, when you want to do the observation on what the doctors are doing, so you must see what they are doing, how they treat the patient. When you want to go to the school, okay, you must see how the principal is talking to the teachers, how the principal is conducting the meeting with the teachers. So everything you must understand. That is from your observation. You take note everything. Look and listen carefully. Okay, like you want to see how the manager is conducting a meeting, what kind of word that he is using to persuade his subordinate. So what you can see, you take down you just jot down what are the words that he is using. Okay, how he's communicating with this staff. Okay, note routine activities. So the note is very important because we want to know what they are doing. Focus on details. Okay, must be very detailed. Note process as well as discrete events. Okay, note unexpected events. Okay, sometimes we can get the emergent things in qualitative research. We didn't expect at all that these things will happen. So please take down. So this will be your data. Okay, now we move on to interviewing. So how you can do your interview? Okay, open-ended format. Okay, actually, there are 3 types of interview. The first one is structured. The second one is semi-structured. The third one is open-ended question. Okay, structured mean you already have a question that the answer is fixed. Okay, the answer is fixed. For example, you want to interview the principal, okay, a very excellent principal. So you want to ask them, are you doing some educational development program in your school? So the answer will be yes or no. So if you want only to that extent, yes or no, so you can choose structured question. You can use structured question to ask to collect the data. Semi-structured interviews. Okay, semi-structured interviews, you have the guideline. You have the guideline. So from the guideline, you ask the question. Like for example, Okay, are you doing any kind of educational development program? So you have the question, yes or no. So let's say he answer yes. Okay, then you say, what kind of program you are doing? So he will start to explain to you. So he will start to explain to you. So from that, you can develop the question. You can keep, at that moment also you can change the question if you feel that you want to do the changes. Okay, no fixed sequence of questions. Okay, you don't be very structured. Okay, I want to ask you the first question, the second question, the third question, no such thing. Okay, maybe you can alternate the question. Depends on the situation. Okay, depends on the situation. Okay, question tend to change as researcher gain insight. Okay, sometimes you can change the questions immediately. Let's say from question 1 you can jump to question number 3, because answer for question number 2 you got already, so you don't have to ask again. Okay, so respondents are encouraged to raise issues. Okay, so they can raise the issues as well. Okay, so what does document analysis included? Okay, document analysis, you can find out the history, the real true information. It's a real or true information. It is a first-hand information. Read truly everything, every single words. As I said, in qualitative research, every single word is very important. Okay, like document analysis. Let's say you want to analyze about the novel. This is most of them like from the literature background. They like to do. They like to do novel analysis. Okay, poems. They like to analysis it. Okay, so that you must take the history. You must look at the words. Okay, you must identify whether the information given is true, real or no. Is it a, but document analysis sometimes can be a first-hand information because you're taking from the printed document like a government policies. Okay, so focus only on essential information. So this is my advice for those who are doing document analysis, because when you need to read, there will be such like a very much a lot of things that you need to read, and from the things that you read you try to jot down what are the essential information which will be useful for your research only. Okay, now very shortly we try to check your understanding questions. Okay, data for qualitative studies are based on words rather than numbers, easy and straightforward to interpret, gathered quickly from large numbers of people, precisely analyzed on a computer. Okay, so I think this is a very simple question. Most of you can get the answer. Okay, the answer is A, based on words rather than numbers. Okay, because it gives meaning for you. Okay, it gives a meaning. Okay, rather than giving a numerical value. The words is valuable there. Okay, so how is tax collected? We are going to deal with tax, because when you interview, you will get you have to transcribe the interview. Okay, maybe written by participants on a particular topic and requested by a researcher. So what will happen is, so the participants, they will write, like for example, they will jot down, okay, you want them to tell about the experience. So they just write down all the experiences. So you take the note from them and then you can analyze. Okay, narratives may be circulated by mail rather than in person. Sometimes we can send you email. Okay, text developed for the other purposes such as patient record or procedure manuals can be accessed for qualitative analysis. So you can look at the, like we have the record, we have the previous record. So all the text you have to take out. Okay, published text. Okay, it is like a books, newspapers. Okay, so check your understanding. Which of the following is not a common data collection methodology, qualitative research? Okay, examining written text, interviewing participant, observing participant, obtaining written surveys. The answer is D. Of course, we are not doing survey here. We are not going to do the survey. We are just going to get some written text from the participants. Okay. So how are qualitative research result interpreted? Okay, how we can do the interpretations of the data. Okay, so for when we want to analyze the data in qualitative research, normally we have to come out with a thematic analysis. So from the words, okay, from all the words, you can categorize the word. You have to categorize all the words based on the research question. Okay, which I think I want to talk about the data analysis. It will give me like a another 1 or 2 hours for me to explain on how to do the data analysis for the qualitative research. Okay, so basically what I can say, the words that we transcribe from either interview, observations, or document analysis, so all these words or the phrases, sometimes we cannot get the single word, we can take a phrases, okay, that give meaning for us. So we categorize them into themes. Okay, so this is what we call as a thematic analysis. So in qualitative research, we have the thematic analysis. So we have to report according to the theme. And how we can develop the theme? It comes from the research questions. Like, for example, your first research question, let's say you want to look into the implementation process. Okay, implementation process, like maybe in a school or any field, you want to look at implementation process. So your teams must be focused on the process of implementation. Okay, let's say you want to study about the challenges faced by leaders. Okay, challenges faced by leaders after this COVID-19. Okay, for example, so you must find out, okay, what are the challenges. So there will be like a maybe 100 or more than 100 challenges that mentioned by the participant. We cannot report each of the things. What we will do, we will categorize them. Okay, like technological, okay, technology challenges. Okay, technology challenge me, so you put ICT and then the poor internet connection, so that all will be the sub themes. Like main theme will be the technical technology, and your sub teams, or you can give the explanation for that team. So this is how we can develop the teams actually. So in qualitative research, you can look at Creswell, Brown, and Clark. They explain very well about how to do the thematic analysis. Okay, maybe in future we can organize any like a webinar or any talk regarding the how we can do the data analysis in qualitative. So as for now, you must understand that how we are going to report the data, how we are going to do the analysis based on the research question. From the research question, we try to categorize all the data and we develop the themes from the data that we categorize. Okay, the rigor, okay, like it is in qualitative research, it's very openness. Okay, as I said just now, sometimes we don't have the limitation, sometimes we ourselves we have to limit the studies. Otherwise it will go prolong, it is go until like certain period of time. So we have to set our time. Okay, 6 months is enough for me. Okay, 6 months is enough, and this data is already answered all my research question. Okay, adherence to a philosophical perspective. Data saturation, as I said, data saturation, sometimes we are not happy with the data, so we keep on, like we want to go and interview again and again. Sometimes we must look at the participant feelings also. Okay, like for example, third time, fourth time, they're willing to share, but sometimes when you go for a long time in, they also like intend to quit from the our study. Okay, multiple sources of data. So as I said just now, we must collect data in various aspects. Okay, like cannot depend on one data collection method only. Like you cannot depend on interview. Oh, I just want to do interview only. Sometimes interview data is not really enough for us. It is not rich. So we must go for the document analysis. So we can mix 2 or 3 methods of data collection. Okay, so what are the negative factors? Okay, so inconsistently adhering to method of philosophy, poorly developed methods, okay, lack of data collection time, poor data collections method. Sometimes we really don't understand. The problem is qualitative research is a very beautiful thing. We can do it very beautifully because the data is a very rich data. But as I say, our research framework doesn't suit for us. Okay, we are trying to doing something else, and we are choosing the wrong approach, and then it will show the data is very poor. Okay, failure to consider multiple sources of data. Sometimes we want to save our time. Okay, so we just choose observation. We just choose document analysis, which if you do 1 or 2 or more than one, so you can get more richer data. So that's why like qualitative research, it will take a longer time. Okay, so this is the last part, I think. So validity and reliability. Okay, normally people will look at the validity and reliability of the research in qualitative research. They will question, how can you say these things by using only 10 participants? How can you say this by only using 1 or 2 participants? Okay, so our justification, we must show that it is a very prolonged engagement. Okay, we are not collecting data just in a very short period of time. Like ethnography study, you must be with them to understand it, to understand the culture, to understand what they are doing. Okay, like when you want to talk about the policy makers, how the policy makers are developing the policies, you must be with them. Okay, you must be with them, you must know the process, how they're conducting the meeting, how they are getting the need analysis. So it is a very long process. Okay, we can do a member check. Member check means after we do the data analysis, we show the data to the participants. We ask them to read. Is this what you're trying to say? Is this the real meaning that you want to explain to me? So that they say, oh, this is the real meaning. This is what I'm trying to say. So this is what we call member check. So we can check, cross-check with the participant. And triangulation. When you want to say we have the high level of validity, we must do the triangulation. As I said just now, there is no enough when you choose one method of data collection. So we can do the triangulation. We have 2 types of triangulation actually. So one is a with method and within method. Within method means, for example, you want to use interview. The data from interview, you try to compare, you try to triangulate with observation. So that is within method. So sorry, with method. Within method mean, for example, you have the interview, you just want to do the interview only to collect data, but your interview is few times. Like you want to do the comparison. The data I collected from the first interview, compare with the second interview. You try to triangulate with the second interview. You try to triangulate with the third interview, so that you will know the consistency of the data. And at the end of the day, the data will be very rich. Okay, the data will be very rich. So as I said just now, qualitative research is a very long process. It is an interesting process, but when you want to come to when you want to report, you will feel the satisfaction of conducting the research because you understand everything, every single aspects you can understand very well. Okay, so now we come to questions and comments. Okay, that is the end of my session. Okay, which I think that I covered most of the main perspective in qualitative research. The main things is what I like to wrap up is the first thing, you must look at your objective, what you want to do, what is the purpose of your studies, okay, what is the main idea of your study. Then from that particular idea, you try to choose the correct approach. Okay, you try to choose the correct approach. When you choose the correct approach, so the flow will be very smooth, then you can get a very rich data, which will be very helpful for the research world. Okay, so I think that is the end of my session. Okay, so now I
Thank you.
hand over
Yeah,
to
thank you.
Professor Dr. Rajasekharan.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Kalai, for a wonderful presentation. People already started pouring a lot of positive feedback. And dear participants, we can take a few questions. Probably if you have a question, you can post in the chat box. You cannot ask because of the disruption. Already I have seen one question. How to apply postdoc in foreign universities? Can you throw some light on that? One participant asked that question. How to apply postdoc in the foreign universities? Kalai, can you give some light on that?
What is the question, Doctor? Can you repeat?
How to apply postdoc in the foreign universities?
How to apply postdocs in foreign universities.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
postdoctorate. So you have to check the website of each of the universities. So in Malaysia, you can try to look at University Malaya. Okay, University Malaya, they are offering like a postdoc opportunities there. And then
Yeah.
there are some universities, okay, you have to check through the website of Malaysian University.
Okay.
Okay.
The next question from Nandita, and as a researcher of English literature, which
Okay.
approach should I use?
Oh, for the English literature. Okay,
Yeah.
so we look at the approaches. As I said just now, we have 5 kind of approaches. Okay, so actually when you are doing English literature studies, okay, you must look at what is your purpose. Are you going to understand about your literature work, or are you going to understand about the content of the literature? Okay, so when you want to understand about the content of the literature, okay, so it can be a case study. Okay, it can be a case study so that you can choose a few novels, a few literature works, and you study on each of the cases there, each of the novels there. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. The next question. Okay. In the stress management of a group of people comes under case study or action research? Actually, she wanted to know
Management of
stress management of a group of people, whether it is a case study or action research.
management of a few peoples.
No, stress management, when you want to observe the people, how they are managing their stress, whether it is
Oh,
a
they're
case study,
managing
yeah.
the stress.
Yeah,
No, no,
yeah,
no.
yeah.
It is like a more on a phenomenological. When you want to understand about the experience, mean it is phenomenological.
Okay.
Okay, because you want to see their experience, how they overcome the stress. Okay,
Yeah, yeah,
phenomenological
yeah, yeah.
approach.
Another question, we do a qualitative research. Do we need to set a hypothesis or not? Already you have clearly told that there is no hypothesis.
Yes, there's no
Yeah,
hypothesis.
yeah, absolutely. And what can be the ethical responsibilities in qualitative practice?
Okay, in qualitative practice, you must look at the ethical. The first ethical aspect is, okay, you must get the consent from the participant. The participant must agree to take part in the research. Okay, let's say the
Okay.
participants didn't allow you to do the video recording. Okay, please don't do it. Please don't do it. And the third very important aspect is when you want to report the data, please don't ever mention their name.
Okay.
Okay, so what you need to do is try to use their nickname, or you try to use other names which is not related to them at all.
Okay.
Okay, and if possible mean don't show their particulars to anyone, don't keep in your research, okay, about their particulars, because this is very confidential.
Okay. Next from Shivika Vishwanath asked, which is better, qualitative research or quantitative research? It's a
As
very
I said
subjective.
just now, I don't want to give any justification.
Yeah,
So
that's a
it
very
depends
subjective
on
question.
you what you want to do
Yeah,
actually.
absolutely. Okay, next question from Zakidul Azad. What kind of approach a comparative research in English literature is? Already,
Comparative. You want
yeah,
to do a comparative English literature. So
yeah.
when you want to do a comparative mean, so you can use a case study. You can compare two things, okay, which is you can actually we can modify the case studies also for the comparison studies. Okay, let's say you have a two literature and you want to look at both of the literature have the same meaning of they want to do a comparison between two texts, so you can do the case study.
Okay. Okay, Dr. Kalai, wonderful. Actually, I think we have answered all the questions. Kalai, thank you very
Yes.
much. It's a very nice session, and the people really liked it. And the people are watching in the YouTube also. I'm tracking both, and people are there about 500 plus. And here already we wanted to have only limited, but we were forced to allow a lot of people. Already we are 105 in Zoom session alone, and it's very successful. And thank you very much. I take this opportunity to thank Dr. Kalai for his valuable time, and he has given a wonderful talk, and everybody liked it. And it's definitely it will be very useful for the people to understand the qualitative research in the different perspective. Thank you very much. And thank you very much, Kalai.
Okay,
Definitely, and we will
welcome.
we'll
Thank
have
you
some
for
other session
organizing
in.
such a wonderful session.
Yeah, thank you very much. We'll continue our association with some other thing also. Thank you very much. Participants,
Sure,
please wait.
sure.
I'll have some, yeah, some instructions for you. Participants, please, you can wait. Thank you, Dr. Kalai. Thank you very much.
Okay, welcome. See you soon, Prof. Okay,
Bye.
bye.
Okay, participants, let me post the feedback link now in the chat box. Just to wait, and you have to fill up the feedback form. And please make note that this form will be open only 15 minutes. After that, this will be closed. So you make sure that you are filling the form within 15 minutes. Just give me a second to. Yeah, I am posting the feedback link. Actually, I have done it. All the participants, please kindly fill up the feedback form. Please make sure that you are giving all the data as your name, designation, institution name properly. Once you have done, we'll not be able to edit. We'll not do any correction in the university certificate. And make sure that you are doing it properly. So exactly in my the time is 4:20. It will be closed at 4:35. So please make sure that you are filling within 15 minutes. I'll be posting the same link in the YouTube chat box also, and you can fill it up within 15 minutes. Kalai, thank you, Kalai. You can, if you want, you can leave, Kalai. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you. Yeah, participants, I guess you have received the feedback form. You can fill the form. And once we receive, please kindly make sure that you make a note of it. It will take minimum 1 week time to get your certificate. And please watch this particular blog for your, already I have mailed you, but just let me post that thing also in the blog. Let me give certification link. After 1 week, you will be able to download from that. Let me give that link also. See, I'm posting the link now, and you will be able to download your certificate after a week. And see, straight away you can go to the vitchennaievents.com/certificates. I have given a link. Please do not try now. It will open only after a week, not now. Please kindly make a note it. You will not be able to download your certificate. It has to be manually generated. So it will take 1 week time, as participants are so large, almost 1,000 participants. So after 1 week, you can try. In case if you have any difficulty in the future, and you can visit this blog, drvraj.blogspot.com. I'm reposting it again. You watch that blog, and I'll update the information. Is there anything is anything is updated? Once it is ready, you can check that particular blog. I'm posting it again, and you'll be able to see the update thing once the certificate is ready, and you will be able to see that. Please keep watching this particular blog. I have given already. And once it is ready, and I'll give a link in that particular blog also, and you will be able to go to the link and you will be able to download it. See, for downloading your certificate, you have to enter your email ID. So whatever the email you are giving in the feedback form, the same registered email ID only can be entered to download the certificate. If there is an error, nothing can be done. Please make sure that you are entering proper email ID. Once you enter email ID, you will get your whatever you have entered as per the data you have given in the feedback form. It will sleep. Somebody is asking the feedback form again. Let me post it here. I have posted the feedback form again. And let me repost to my blog ID as well as where you can download your certificate also. Yeah. Okay, with this, I think if you have filled, and you can leave, and I'll be ending the session maybe within 1 or 2 minutes. Yeah, kindly keep looking at this blog. Probably you'll be getting the update, and there won't be any separate mail regarding this thing. Only you have to keep looking at the blog. Okay, thank you very much for your wonderful participation. I guess you have made use. Definitely, this session is useful to you. And let me meet you with some other session in the future. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.